Chapter 5. Grandmother's Advice. As Caroline and her mother walked past the Shaw house on their way home, the front door flew open. Mrs. Shaw hurried down the gravel path and crushed Caroline into a hug. "Oh, you poor, poor child!" Her pity didn't make Caroline feel any better. Mrs. Shaw was a plump woman with a round face that Caroline thought only looked kind. She wriggled free from her neighbor's arms. "Lieutenant Wolseley believes the British will release my husband soon," Mamma said. "He knows best," Mrs. Shaw replied. "Perhaps," Mamma frowned. "Actually, though, I think Lieutenant Wolseley is too busy right now to worry about Mr. Abbott and Oliver." "Well, he has many things to worry about." Mrs. Shaw spread her hands. "We all have much to do to prepare for war. My husband volunteers with the gun crew, you know. Thank heavens they've been practicing." "Lieutenant Wolseley said Sackett's Harbor is poorly defended," Caroline said. Remembering the grim look on the officer's face made her shiver. "If so, it's not the gun crew's fault," Mrs. Shaw huffed. "The government sent cannonballs that don't even fit their cannons." "The cannonballs don't fit?" Caroline echoed. "How can we defend ourselves?" "We must pray that our soldiers will find a solution." Mamma pressed her lips together. "Now, Mrs. Shaw, if you will excuse us, Caroline and I should get home." Mrs. Shaw put a hand on Mamma's arm. "What will happen to the shipyard?" "Mamma is taking charge until Papa gets back," Caroline told her. Mrs. Shaw looked at Mamma. "I can't imagine how you'll manage the shipyard and your household." "I'm going to help," Caroline said. Couldn't Mrs. Shaw tell that she was only making Mamma feel worse? Mrs. Shaw patted Caroline's shoulder. "I'm sure you mean well, Caroline, but we all know that your kitchen skills are a bit, well, lacking." Caroline flushed. 2 days earlier, Mrs. Shaw had stopped by just as Caroline was taking bread out of the bake oven. Grandmother was teaching Caroline how to bake, but somehow Caroline never seemed able to mix in just the right amount of flour and water, or knead the dough to the perfectly silky smooth texture. Her loaf had turned out heavy and hard. Now Mamma said sharply, "Mrs. Shaw." "I don't mean to criticize," Mrs. Shaw said, although Caroline was sure that was exactly what she meant to do. We must all pull together in times like these," the older woman added. I'd be glad to help teach Caroline." "Oh, no," Caroline thought. Her spirits sank lower. "Thank you for the offer," Mamma said, "but we'll do fine. Good afternoon." Caroline and Mamma walked the rest of the way in silence. Once they were home, Caroline let Mamma tell Grandmother about the conversation with Lieutenant Wolseley. Caroline plodded up the stairs. When Caroline reached her small bedroom, she caught her breath. Her carpet had been delivered. Last March, Mamma had taken Caroline to look at samples. "Pick out exactly what you want," Mamma had said. It was the first time her parents had ever permitted Caroline to make such an important grown-up decision. She had looked at each sample carefully, feeling the materials and trying to imagine how such a carpet would look in her bedroom. It had been so hard to choose. Now Caroline knew her choice was perfect. The new carpet was made of thick wool in warm shades of gold and brown. The beautiful carpet, soft and cozy, would make her unheated room feel warmer during Sackett's Harbor's icy winters. Even now, on a day when everything had gone so terribly wrong, the carpet was comforting. Inkpot, her black cat, must have found the carpet comforting too. He was curled into a ball in a patch of sunlight, fast asleep. Caroline scooped him up and nestled one cheek against his soft fur. Papa had brought Inkpot home when he was no more than a scruffy stray kitten. "Sailors believe black cats are good luck," he told Caroline. "I wish you'd been on board White Gull today," Caroline whispered. "Maybe You would have brought us better luck." Inkpot purred sleepily, and Caroline gently put him down again. She walked to the little mahogany work table in the corner. The table had a hinged board where she could write letters, and compartments for bottles of ink and notepaper and blotting sand. A lower drawer had plenty of space for her sewing supplies. A fabric bag slung beneath the work table held her current project, an embroidered map of Lake Ontario's eastern shoreline from Sackett's Harbor around to Kingston. In an instant, all the pleasure Caroline had taken in her new carpet faded. She'd planned to put the map when it was finished into a wooden frame so that Papa could use it as a fire screen. She had loved imagining Papa sitting in his favorite chair by the hearth on frosty winter nights with the fire screen allowing him to stay warm without getting scorched. When the lake was iced over and Papa couldn't sail, the embroidered map would remind him that spring would come again.